here today to live starting out an ABM program within a high growth SaaS organization. As software is pretty much eating the world at the moment, it's interesting to explore the long-term goals of ABM. We manage these with the challenges of achieving continued short-term growth. So as part of this, we're going to talk about the where and the why and how personalization fits with some real-world examples from smart recruiters and some performance data from other clients. So on to our next slide. Before we get into that, I have the pleasure of introducing my co-speaker, Fabrice. Fabrice Etienne, who I have known for a number of years now, right back from his tenure at Zendesk, who I would absolutely describe as a leading and highly talented global SaaS marketer who's incredibly passionate about B2B marketing and really driving results from the marketing that he delivers with creativity, specifically in ABM. So I'm going to be talking with him about the work he's done at Smart Recruiter since he joined in 2020. And from my side, I am Kirsty Dorr, MD at Webio, and some of you may remember me from my time agency side at Really B2B. So Fabrice, I'm going to hand over to you so you can tell us a little bit more about Scooters, if you don't mind.
Thank you so much, Kirsty. And good afternoon, everybody. Kirsty, thank you so much for that introduction. I'm almost blushing. So Smart Recruiter, we are a talent-based SaaS acquisition company. We help HR team, and more precisely talent acquisition team, to attract and manage talent and then put them through the funnel until they get hired as an employee. We are on a huge growth curve at the moment. We just got in June our evaluation and a Series E funding. We raised 150 million. We are now evaluating at 1.5 billion, which makes us officially a unicorn, which we're really excited about. When I joined, we were about 250 employees. We're 400 today, and on the path to be 600 by end of next year. Very much focused on enterprise market. We've acquired over 200 enterprise accounts last year, just on focusing on ABM, and that's what we're going to talk about it today in terms of what strategy we put together and how we got there.
Great, thank you. So yeah, I was delighted to speak to Fabrice about the ABM campaigns that they were planning to run at Smart Recruiters, because prior to Fabrice joining the organisation, personalization hadn't ever really been on the agenda beyond personalized emails. It really was a one-size-fits-all approach, and that had served the organization really, really well. Obviously, Fabrice came in and, looked at that and said, right, we need to do something quite differently. And with regards to personalization and ABM, when we had the conversation, we both agreed that these are synonymous with each other. It's like having the how without the why and the yin without the yang almost. So they have to work together because true personalization is in effect ABM. So it's about treating an account as a market of one, getting to know the account, understanding the individuals, the decision makers, how that operates, what opportunities there are available, so that Smart Recruiters can ultimately talk with authority in terms of how they're going to support that organization in achieving their goals. So if we think about ABM and personalization, what ultimately happens within an ABM campaign is the things that our B2B buyer is looking for support and guidance on become the brief for our ABM campaign. So when we're thinking about, okay, what does that campaign look like? We're responding to the 4 key things that our buyer sees as most important to them, which are genuinely know me, connect with my challenges, reassure and guide. So with a personalization perspective, we have to keep coming back to answering those 4 questions. And when we do that, we're going to deliver results. Personalization is, and I will say this as a vendor within the personalization space, it is something that obviously we are banging the drum hard about because we sell a solution that supports that, but it genuinely does does provide results. So does finance the warm and fuzzies too when it's incorporated within that ABM campaign. 56% of marketers agree that personalized content is absolutely key to ABM success. Companies are seeing 30% uplift in sales, measured end to end. 80% of consumers react positively to personalized experiences, and those stakeholders who are exposed to personalized content are much more likely to buy. So these stats from Gartner and Forrester show us, alongside the insight that we've got, that the two tied together make the best chance of success. So moving on, let's hear from you, Fabrice, a little bit more about how you were able to introduce ABM into a high-growth SaaS organization that was very much more demos, more demos.
Sure. So let's start first about, in general, how you're going to introduce that into a SaaS organization. And I'm going to deep dive into how we have actually implemented that at Smart Recruiter. So first and foremost, implementing ABM is a long-term strategy. It's not something that you're going to do just over a couple of months and then move to something else. It will require a lot of commitment from the business, both in terms of resources, from a headcount standpoint, but also resources from a budget standpoint and commitment on the long term. As we say, learn to walk before you run. So understand the why before the how. Why you actually want to get into an ABM strategy, and then kind of describe the how. Make sure that the stakeholder will have patience along the way. We all deal with sales in our life, and we know how impatient they can be to get the deal, to get that prospect in, to get that lead that they can contact. Make sure that they understand that it will be a different approach to their normal sales approach and sales processes, and they will have to get along with you on that journey. But likewise, also find some quick wins. They're gonna help you to kind of get the buy-in from the organization, get these low-hanging fruit that you can have. But then at the end also, keep it honest. Not every ABM strategy, every ABM tactics is going to work. You testing the market, make sure that you do that test. If it doesn't work, be accountable, get the findings, and then move on to the next things. So in terms of how we've implemented at Smart Recruiter from a timeline standpoint, we started it with pretty much like a funnel. We're starting with our ABM programmatic in our first 6 months, and it was very much kind of like our one-to-many in terms of how we're gonna bundle the different prospect that we're gonna reach. Is it per vertical, by persona, and starting to bring these to life. And then after that, we're starting to move into an ABM Lite. That's your one to few option. So that's where you're going to start really looking down into maybe common issue or solution that you want to bring to a group of prospect. And then last but not least, which is what we're starting to move now, is our one-to-one. That's going to reach our strategic account. And that's where you're going to be precisely talking to one account in particular. Really drilling down in terms of what is the issue for that account that they're trying to resolve by buying your solution, and what is the different campaign messaging that you're going to build around it to resolve that and to move into the funnel in order to get to the sales team for them to close that account. So in terms of the one-to-one, how we did it, in about 60, 90 days prior to that, we're starting to look at the sales and marketing brief, the why and the how. So looking at which account we were going to go after, what was the pain point of these accounts, and start mapping our content. What do we have available? Where is the issue that we have in terms of short file of content that we need to create in order to bring to these accounts? And then bring sales and marketing together to validate the strategy, the content, and then the process that we're going to put in place. And then making sure that you also address every single stakeholder in the buying process. So that's where your sales and customer success manager will be very useful to kind of understand who is actually part of that buying process. And we're not just talking about the budget owner, but we're also talking about all the different people around that budget owner that will come in and will have an advice, or they will have a say in that buying. It could be procurement, it could be IT, that at some point of that journey will evaluate your solution and how you're going to actually bring that information to them as well. Then we started developing the campaign strategy for each of the account. I agree on the document and the measurement for success, and then creating also all the campaign creative. I think it's really important that it's not one size fit all. You need to kind of bring your design team along that journey and be able to create some really nice creative solution for each of the vertical or persona that you're gonna talk to. And then assign and brief the campaign owner, and then get that campaign going. Once the campaign is launched, within kind of like the first 2 months, do the execution and the feedback loop, and then keep it honest to the sales team and the organization in terms of the result of that campaign. So our key to success, I've kind of touched on a few during the 2 slides, but get the senior buying, get that leadership buying. It is going to be a change in the way that you're approaching the business, the way that you're putting your resources, the way the marketing budget is spent. It is crucial that your C-suite is behind you, because then the whole organization is going to be behind you. We've created a separate ABM team internally. So these are expert field marketer. They've done field marketing for many years. And now they're kind of drilling down into a more account-based strategy. The way we structure it is we usually assign one per region that we have, and we'll have a ratio of 1-2 or 1-3 between an account, an ABM marketing manager, and a salesperson. So one ABM manager for 2 or 3 salespeople to support them on that journey. It's also a great way for us to be able to promote field marketer to a different position and show progress internally. Sales ownership, it kind of goes back into the senior buying, but it has to go down all the way to the AE and the salesperson, that they have to understand the process and why you're going into this. Map all level. So that's, I think, really important. All the different buyer journey. I've talked to it previously. Make sure that you talk to each of the persona that you're gonna have, not just the budget holder, but the IT person, the procurement. You might not have a campaign that will be as heavy for them. You might drip them information on a less frequently basis, but at least they're aware of who you are as a company and what you're going to do to help them, to really help their issue on their side. Procurement have budget constraint, IT as security constraint or integration constraint, where your HR person or talent acquisition have different constraint. You all have different messaging that can play there. And then, as I said, keep it human. I think it's really important. We talk a lot about customer experience, making sure that our customer are loved and they get an experience when they join any SaaS company. It's the same for prospect, and it's called prospect experience as well. Making sure it's consistent throughout the journey, that you look like the same, you're talking to them in the same manner. And that's not just from the marketing team to learn that, but it's also from the sales team in terms of how to massage that kind of like messaging and voice of tone that is so important. And so in all of this, if we go to the next slide, where's the website personalization fit? So the website is the front window. It's the first thing that people are going to see when they come in. And so that's where we want to make sure that we started with a vertical personalization at scale to start with. Again, kind of like start to know how to walk before you run. Kind of like get your basics right and try to understand how people navigate your website, what page they're going to look like, what information they need. And then from there, we're moving into kind of like a relevant solution for them. And that's where kind of like we go deeper into the ABM account, where they're going to get most interest in some of the solution that we can propose in order to fast track that buying funnel. And now where we're going into it is a one-to-one and persona base. And that's where we're bringing our Marketo data into the Web analytic, and then making sure that we're serving the right content with the right personalization to a single individual or a single account.
Thank you. And sorry, I was like listening to you and I didn't, I was just enjoying
That's
the
okay.
presentation, so I didn't move fast enough on the slides. So yeah, talking about those three pillars, it's, how do we do personalization at scale? How do we get ABM right at named account level from top of the funnel stage? And then how do we move into really individual one-to-one ABM on the website? So this is where smart recruiters have got really smart with what they're doing. So we've got some examples of how they're using personalization within their website as part of that ABM journey. So if we think about the fact that each of the ABM managers has mapped the accounts with the sales stakeholder to really understand within those accounts, what are the needs, challenges, issues of those particular organizations and the buyers within those organizations, what they in effect have as a picture of those named accounts to say, this is the thing that we think that is going to be most interesting to them. This is our in. And so that's where we really started from an ABM perspective. It was looking at the whole Smart Recruiters suite and saying, what's the one solution that's going to get that organization to sit up and pay attention? And that flowed throughout the ABM campaign created, but also was reflected on the website. So it's very top of the funnel at this stage. We're not shouting, hey, global retailer, obviously with the company name, this and this about you. It was a case of doing something quite subtle, but identifying these are the organizations that we think will find this particularly interesting. So if we look at the example here, we've got kind of the core version of the website homepage, so the non-personalized homepage. And Smart Recruiters set up audiences for each of their named ABM account groups. So they grouped them and said, these named accounts we think would be most interested in this solution. So we've got here their solution, which based on the research and the insight the team had done, would be most applicable to technology organizations. So technology organizations are very fast moving. They're, really heavy on the hiring. It's a constant process to them. And they're always looking at new ways to drive efficiencies and improve results. So when a technology business from one of those named accounts visited the website, specifically in technology for the most part, they would receive the chatbot homepage rather than the core homepage. So the solution was much more focused on what Smart Recruiters believe based on their research would be most relevant to them. So we move on to the next one. So again, just as groups of named accounts, the next homepage was the hiring at scale homepage, which is a solution that's very much focused around seasonal hiring, new locations, driving new recruits into an organization fast. So when Smart Recruiters were looking at the named accounts that they would select for this particular homepage experience, the audience was built up a lot of retail named accounts and financial services named accounts. So they received that hiring at scale homepage experience to drive them into the rest of the website. And then for named accounts who were, still enterprise organizations, but were looking at talent acquisition software for the first time, so maybe hadn't invested in something yet, the homepage experience again was very different. It was talking about a state-of-the-art sourcing and recruiting strategy, because the ABM team had identified, well, look, these guys don't have something in place already. So when we're driving them to the site, we need to educate them about the whole process. So it was really valuable. And from that perspective, is not only were Smart Recruiters able to validate their research, so measure, are these named accounts more engaged when they receive content on this particular part of the solution, more so than when they receive the normal homepage. And also they were able to measure which organizations were more engaged when they were looking at those particular parts of the solution. So they could see a certain retailer was downloading content or engaging with content on the hiring at scale functionality, and then that was able to be weaved into the future campaign and also flagged to sales as well, so that sales could then take action accordingly. So that's the start of the kind of like ABM acquisition approach. What I really like about this is it's validating research. It's insight based. It's like, this is what we know now. So let's, make a choice about what we serve to these audiences. And, Fabrice said to me when the team built this campaign out, it's like, we need to start somewhere. We've got to start with what we know, and then we can go on and adjust it. So it's about keeping it honest. It's like, we've done this research, and let's prove that we're right or not by these named accounts, and then we can go on and we can develop that further. But now we started to get a detailed understanding of, these guys are engaging with this content, this is what is switching them on. We can then create the more one-on-one experiences. So the next experience I'm going to show you is more of a ABM light experience. So while the named accounts were incredibly important, and if you remember from Fabrice's timeline, there was it took us 18 months to start to do some of that work. Prior to that, using the ABM Light campaign, the team at Smart Recruiters created personalized experience for all of their key verticals where they were already really referenceable. So ones that they had good clients to talk about already, and also ones that were demonstrating high traffic to the website. So the experience that we've got here is actually the experience that they created for technology business visitors. So that was pulling in data, identifying businesses via Marketo, Munchkin tracking cookies, and also via IP data when they visited the website. And what our buyer would see is obviously different headlines, so focused on tech talent. The copy here, I don't know how easy it is for you to see this, guys, but we can certainly send the deck afterwards. It talks about whether you're a SaaS organization, you're in hardware, and the imagery is different. But what I really loved about what the guys did here from an imagery perspective is, it'd be really easy to put an image of what looks like a tech organization, but how is that useful to a customer? So what they did is they actually showed part of the software, but referenced some of the key job roles that the technology buyer is going to be interested in. So as you would expect, software engineers, marketing featured highly in here. And then there were some lovely proof points. So all the logos were changed along here to be other technology businesses. The other pages that they changed were high intent pages. So the solutions page, copy was changed here. They loaded out the video that was on there and put in a new video where technology customers were able to talk about how they were using the software. And also the get a demo page was the other high intent page that was personalized to that sector. And that drove some really nice uplift. So on this one, it's probably one of the ones that we're most proud of is 393% uplift from visit to actually conversion, which is for Smart Recruiters booking a demo. So not just a white paper download or some sort of engagement, but a genuine conversion to demo request. So couple of points before we finish up. I wanted to give you some bits to take away to think about with your own personalization strategy in terms of what's working for clients, because what we're hearing, and we had the same experience when we spoke to Smart Recruiters, is like everyone gets really excited about what we can do. And sometimes that can be quite overwhelming from a personalization perspective. And so I wanted to show you the examples that Smart Recruiters have done there, because they're not complicated, but they were powerful. Every part of the personalization that the guys did on the homepage was above the fold. So all stuff that a buyer would see as soon as they hit the website. So we didn't change, every single element of the page, because it has to be something that captures them in those first 7 seconds. But what's currently working? So I've got some summary stuff for you here. So we are seeing where clients are personalizing using a dynamic tag and pulling in the company name. So literally on high intent pages, so particularly things like homepage, demo request page, a pricing page, case studies page is a really good place to personalize, and resources as well. Pulling in the company name is driving a 30 to up to 100% uplift in conversion. So that's where we tell clients to start, because that takes 5 minutes to set up. And often people do say, well, I'm not sure about the company name, but we say test because we know it works. And because you're not flagging an individual, you're flagging a company, it does draw them into that buying journey. The other second type of personalization that our clients focus on is dynamic tag using industry and company name, again on high intent pages. And this pushes the conversion up to between 80 to 100. I wanted to flag that industry always seems to drive a better result than just flagging company size, because our buyers are pragmatists and they want to understand other people that look like them, not just another enterprise organization, but a specific organization that sits within their vertical. They're much more likely to recognize that organization. So company size does work, but it's much more powerful if we're putting proof points in there. So yes, we can say, talent management solution for enterprise organizations, but if we're not doing anything else beyond that, we'll only get small uplift in conversion. Where we add in proof points, so logos, case studies of companies that look like that, we get a much higher increase in conversion. And then finally, where we're really seeing the best results is industry-based personalization, copy, imagery, and proof points all above the fold on those high intent pages. So pages where you're getting the most traffic, where visitors are showing that they've got high interest in the product or solution. So some quick tips, include all high traffic pages on your personalization. Don't just do the homepage. This drives up to a 30% increase. Adding imagery really boosts conversion, but make it fit with your solution. Don't put a new image for image's sake unless it's relevant to your product or service. You're much more likely to capture them with the headline. So in summary, there are some quick do's and don'ts that have been taken from Smart Recruiters Learning. So focus on the most prominent part of the customer journey as a top do. Maximize your personalization above the fold. You've got 7 seconds, so engagement is key. Focus on headline and hero image first. Talk to your pragmatist buyers as much as possible. It is about, phew, I'm in the right place. Like, there are other people that look like me here. Say my name, it's okay. I think we've all, and we've had plenty of conversations with clients going, isn't that a little creepy? The fact is that even from a human perspective, we have triggers in the brain. Triggers in the brain when we receive a personalization or personalized experience as minimal. Sorry, I'm going to cough now. Sorry. As company name, keep the message simple. Personalize where you see intent. Don't make the imagery too generic or too subtle. If you hide it, it's not going to have that impact. So don't think, just put something in the body copy halfway down the page. It's going to be missed. Sorry, guys. Don't think you have to personalize everything to achieve impact. I think that is where a lot of customers get overwhelmed because they get excited about all the things that they want to do. But we know that really 20% of what you're going to do is going to have 80% of your impact. And then again, don't focus on audiences that are too small when you're testing. Go wide, and then you can narrow down as you work through the campaign. So I hope you found that useful. Anything that you wanted to add, Fabrice, before I have another coffee fit?